Welcome to the best Disney World transportation for large groups. One thing I do want to start off with is that large group is a pretty subjective term, but I will make sure to cover the bases, whether your large group is just, more than 6 people, or if your large group is like 30 or 50 people, this will help you out. So, for starters, let's go through the pros and cons of all the different types of transportation that Disney offers, and then some additional options you can use if you don't think any of these will be accommodating to your group. So the monorail, each car fits about 15 adults. That's including if you have some people standing and some people sitting, and if there's no like strollers or wheelchairs taking up any addition. During the first hour of park opening and then an after hour park closing, the lines will be really long and the monorail cars will be very full. Each monorail has like 5 or 6 cars. So just think about how many people can get on at a time. So if your group is like 75 people, if you're going at park opening or park close, don't expect to all get onto the same monorail. Your group will need to split up. The monorails do run continuously, so your next group isn't going to be more than like 10 minutes behind you. So it's definitely not the end of the world, and it's just a convenient way to get around. One thing about Magic Kingdom in particular, because the monorail the only parks it goes to is Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and then it goes to a couple of the resorts around there. If you think your group is too large to maneuver the monorail, if you do hire like a charter bus or like a shuttle or something, they will have to drop you off at the Transportation and Ticket Center, which is where you get the monorail to go to the park. So then either way, you will either have to take the monorail or take the ferry to get into Magic Kingdom, because only Disney buses can take you up to the front of Magic Kingdom. I do have a couple posts here going in depth about the monorail, and then also if you have anybody with strollers, wheelchairs, or ECVs, how to use those to get around with Disney's transportation. So I brought up the ferry. The ferry also goes between Transportation and Ticket Center and Magic Kingdom. That's the only place where the ferry is. The ferry can fit up to 600 people, and it accommodates strollers, wheelchairs, ECV. Nothing needs to be accommodated on it. So really, no matter your group size, the ferry is always going to be a great option that you'll never have to worry about accessibility for anybody. Or the only way your group would be split up is, again, if you're going at like park opening or park closing and there's a long line and it's mostly full and like they only have room for 10 more people and your group's got 20, then your group will either split up or you'll step to the side, let some other people on, and then you guys will be first on to the next one. Okay, then we have the Disney buses. So the buses can accommodate anywhere from 50 to 70 guests, and that includes when people have to stand, but that is only if there are no strollers. Strollers do have to be folded up on the bus, but they do take up some space where people can't stand. And the buses can also accommodate wheelchairs and ECVs. Depending on the bus, they can add 2 or 3 to them, and those will take away space from people also. But in general, you can expect to get about 50 to 70 people per bus. So depending on your group size, if you're just, park hopping in the middle of the day or taking it in the middle of the day, you'll never have a problem. But again, park opening and park closing, there may be lines. So depending on your group size, you may get split up or you may have to wait for the next bus. With the buses, the next one could be up to 20 minutes. Generally, with those busier times, they run the buses a bit more frequently, but it really just kind of depends on the needs of the resort as a whole. So that's something to think about depending on your group size. Here is kind of what they look like just for reference. And then for boats, there are a few different types of boats that Disney has around property. There's one that it's used interchangeably, water launches and water taxis. That's these little boats here. They only have them around the Magic Kingdom resorts. Those don't accommodate wheelchairs, strollers, or ECVs. So if you have any of that, don't rely on these. I do have a blog post that goes in detail about all of these because these boats only go to certain resorts, like they have specific routes. So you'll have to check like what applies to you. These take about 20 minutes round trip. They only fit about 20 to 30 people. So depending on your group size, that may or may not work for you. Again, park opening and park closing is going to be the busiest times. So it may be harder to get your full group on there together all in one. There's another boat called cruisers. These fit more people. This Magic Kingdom area, some of the resorts have the cruisers. When you're going around Epcot, the Boardwalk, Hollywood Studios, they all use these larger boats like this. This capacity, I would say average like 35 people, which actually, like, thinking of being on it, I feel like that's a little low. It could be 35, but I would say maybe 50 max. But they also accommodate wheelchairs and EC, so that if anybody is using those on the boat, that will take up space from other people being able to board. So again, if you're just kind of taking it throughout the middle of the day, you shouldn't really have a problem unless your group size is more than 30 people. But then park opening and park closing, you may end up having to split up potentially. And then another option Disney has is the Skyliner. This is one of the best options. I mean, buses for the most part, like say you have like 20 people, buses are generally going to be fine unless it's like park opening or park closing where you may get split up. But the Skyliner is really great for groups because each gondola holds 6 people, but it's a continuously running system. So even though if your group is more than 6, you'll be split up, they will be, 20 seconds behind you. But with the Skyliner, it only runs between Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and then some of the resorts between them. So you can't take it everywhere. And it also will go down if there's like lightning or strong winds and like for refurbishments. So it's not available all the time and it's only very limited in where it can go. But if you can use it, this is a really great option for larger groups. Again, park opening and park close, there will be lines, but because it's a continuously moving system, it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, so now getting away from, those were all of Disney's free transportation options. So let's get into hired transportation. So at the beginning of the post, I talked about if your group is large enough to like fill a charter bus, you probably should have like your own private shuttle taking you around for the most part, just because for most modes of transportation, especially during busy times, you will be inconveniencing everybody around you and stressing the system. However, the system is there for however people choose to use it, so it is definitely not a requirement. So as far as hired transportation, there is Uber and Lyft at Disney if you want to use that. But again, for large groups, that would get pretty expensive pretty quick since you would have to use multiple vehicles. Personal transportation, again, driving yourself. I would count this anything more than like 6 to 8 people, I would consider to be a large group. But so many groups that go to Disney are like a whole team or something. So you may have like 50, 70 people. But if you are a large group that's on that smaller side, we had a 12-passenger van growing up and we would take our cousins with us and there would be 10 of us. So sometimes we would just drive if we needed to, especially for like rope dropping, just so that we wouldn't have to potentially get like separated and not all fit together on one mode of transport. So ultimately with your group size, it depends on where you're going and at what time, like what all you're trying to do. But all of Disney's transportation options will accommodate groups of any size. That's kind of the whole point of Disney offering all of these, is that it's mass transportation. So it really just depends on, if you have the group makeup where the group could potentially split up and, there's adults and people that know what they're doing in each kind of small group that gets broken up, or if you're all okay just, waiting back for the next one so that everyone can fit together. You just may have potential delays like that. I would think at the max 20 or 30 minutes delay getting to and getting from somewhere to build into your schedule if you have a larger group like that can't be split up. So that's just something to keep in mind. And the last thing is I do have a guide for like the fastest and like efficient ways to get around depending on where it is that you're trying to go to check out as well. And that is everything I have for Disney World transportation for large groups.